Hello and welcome to episode 20 of the OCD Backpacker series. I'm your host Matthew Flansburgh, OCD Backpacker, and today we're going to talk about the FLEXLITE REI Co-op backpacking camping chair. For this review, we are going to be comparing all the chairs against one another in this lineup. Now these are displayed in chronological order from the time I have purchased and used them, starting with the left, this FLEXLITE here by REI Co-op, weighing in at 29.1 ounces, the cheapest as far as price point goes. It's 6 years old. Second chair, Chair 0 by HELINOX, is a super light, and I would say out of the four, the third most expensive. It's the second lightest chair at 18.2 ounces. It is 4 years old. I like it very much as well. So you're kind of like Goldilocks in this. The FLEXLITE Air by REI Co-op is my daughter's chair, and it comes in at less than the HELINOX, and surprisingly it weighs about 1.5 ounces less than the Chair 0 by HELINOX. And that is weighed both with their respective carrying cases you can see attached. And I should say, this is a great time to remind you, backpackers, every time you put your chair up, put the sack inside the frame through the loop so that it doesn't blow away. You only do that once, so just a reminder. So on the far end of the right here is our MOONLITE by NEMO. It is the heaviest and most expensive. However, it has features and solves problems that I have found that all three of these other chairs share in common. This chair weighs in at 29.1 ounces, which puts it on the second heaviest scale of the chairs behind me. What do I like about it? Well, for one, it is the most affordable of the chairs here. It works. It is durable. It is long lasting. I've had no problems with it. But there comes a time in a backpacker's life where you do start counting calories, so to speak. And when you start doing that, and when you start going on more than 3 or 4 trips a year, you might want to start considering upgrading from a chair like this. But until then, I'd say out of all 4 of these chairs, if you're new to the game, so to speak, this chair is awesome. And the cool thing about having a chair just like this is that when you do upgrade eventually to another chair, another variety, another flavor for another day, you'll have a chair like this for your companion, your daughter, son, your friends, whatever, when they come and visit. It's also nice to have an extra chair around the garage. So how does this individual chair compare amongst its peers and the other chairs of its class here? Well, let's do a quick rundown. So the FLEXLITE by REI Co-op is a really great chair. This is my first chair of this kind. I've had numerous ones way before that, but this is my first foray into like a really nice chair. 6 years old. I love it. I think it's a great chair. It's sturdy, reliable. I use this around the garage when I choose any of them to sit on, just because I know that it's a little more sturdy and a little more durable, and that's due to its weight. Why would I recommend this chair? I would recommend this chair in particular to anybody new or anybody who's going to go on less than 4 or 5 hikes a year. If you get into the super serious territory, I think that's when we kind of transition into these middle two, where you're going to be saving ounces and paying for those in dollars, in real dollar value. So this would be a great beginner's chair. It'll never go bad, and if it does, you've got REI's warranty to fall back on. A couple years later, 2019, I purchased this chair, and I truly love it. Although if you look at the Superstition trip retrospective, this chair and all three of these chairs share one thing in common that really bugs me. It bugs me a lot. And that is, in mud, the footprint on all of these chairs is such that, depending on the conditions, I was sinking into the mud fully every couple minutes with this very small footprint. So how did I try to solve that problem? Well, as you'll see in this individual write-up, this episode, I tried to solve it with these Vibram feet. And it was an impulse buy, and I regret it. Because all it did was add weight to something that by design is supposed to be light. So at 18.2 ounces in bag, this is a great ultralight backpacking option if you're into chairs, which I am, obviously. On the flip side, you have REI FLEXLITE co-op chair here, which is slightly less. Actually, it's what, 1.25 ounces less. Now, we are going to test out the REI return policy before I get to its individual write-up, because unfortunately, and it was, I think, due to some factory fault, this chair failed even before we left. I was doing a review, I sat on this and it snapped, and I was very thankful, hopefully that resolved. I was very thankful that this happened in my garage and not out on the trail. So we're going to be replacing this for the individual write-up. But this chair weighs less, and it actually, most of the time, is less expensive than this in comparison. So really, I would say for most people, either of these two is just an awesome choice. You'll never have to buy another chair, unless you kind of you think you see this beautiful, and this is where I get conflicted. It's the most expensive chair, but price aside, what does this have that these other three don't besides more weight? And honestly, I look at this from the top down, and it's construction, and the fact that these points where you get your surface area touching the ground are massive, and that solves the mud problem. Another thing this chair solves is a problem I didn't know chairs had, and this has a reclining feature. So if I'm whittling wood, I can pull these straps up and get close and have that chair support my back. And if I want to recline at night and look at the stars, these straps come out and boom, this reclines. So in the world of getting lighter, 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 this thing pops up on the radar. It solves the mud problem, but what good is it? So we're adding poundage here. It's got two anvils, or two big things here. So why would somebody take this out compared to any of these others? We'll stick to the middle two. Well, quite honestly, if I'm going to go fishing, or if I have a shorter hike, a shorter adventure, and I have a place where I'm going to be for a while, this is the chair. This is the chair to do that type of thing in, because I don't want to slip in the mud like I did before. That's annoying to me. Now, depending on conditions, and I'll wrap this up, there's arguments for either of these types of chairs. This for comfort, this would be something where, you know, Uli Kunkel would love this chair, whereas Stefan Ultralight would probably choose, if he chose a chair, between these two. And I think when you're evaluating what trip you're going on, it really helps determine the outcome. Because in July, I'm doing a hike into Rainbow Lake for 2 to 3 days. I'm bringing this fishing chair. I'm going to have a great time at the edge of a lake, and I'm going to be fishing most of the day. So I want something that's not going to sink in the mud. Now, for a 27-mile, you know, where we're switching out and we don't have a permanent camp, I'd probably take the HELINOX out and keep that for those longer through hike type of scenarios. But truly, I think it all comes down to how much weight, the price point, and what kind of features you really want, dependent upon the trip you're about to take. So, overall, is this chair remarkable? No, it's got all the qualities of a good chair. I'm going to rate this chair at a 7.5 because it is a little bit heavy, but it could be used in other things other than backpacking. So it's kind of got good functions like that. Whereas I don't take out the HELINOX as like just something to casually sit on. I feel as if because of its price point, I need to be more careful with it. Whereas this, I feel like it's built more like a tank, and I'm not afraid to throw it around, sit on it, put together quick, and sit down on it hard. So REI FLEXLITE, not to be confused with the REI FLEXLITE Air. They're two different chairs, two different price points. This is the base model, the REI FLEXLITE, and yes, I would recommend it to a friend. I'd recommend it to anybody that is in the market for a chair. Okay, folks, now's the time. I am looking for 2,000 subscribers so that we can burn this Viking ship in the water and send its occupant into Valhalla. As for the chair, the REI Co-op FLEXLITE, this was a 2017 model that, as you can see, has held up. It is color oregano. And as for the data, let's go down through it. With bag, this thing weighs 29.1 ounces. It has a weight capacity of 250 pounds. It's made of aluminum construction. The frame is. It's a non-ripstop nylon. This is a two-type material. This is an older model. It has two types of materials, which is a polyester and a nylon. Held up well. It's got a couple burn holes that you can't necessarily see. Yeah, there you go. But 6 years of usage, top notch. Folded dimensions 4.5 by 15 inches. And one thing to point out with these chairs, this has a very high, in comparison, seat height, 11 inches. That is significant for people who I think are over 5'10". Because if you look at the seat height of the Chair Zero, the HELINOX Chair Zero, that's at 8.5. And I think people that I've talked to that are taller than 5'10", 5'11", or heavier, over 200, do not like that HELINOX chair for those reasons. It sits too low, and it just seems to lose its properties at that height. Anyways, back to this chair. Rating 7.5 out of 10. And I think just because it's the weight. That's the only thing that's dragging this thing down from being anything higher than a 7.5. But there it goes, great chair. Looking forward to seeing if it lasts another 6 years. That's a pretty good wrap up, right? Yeah, I think so. All right, well, as with all my videos, thanks for stopping in. It's rough out there. Love one another. See you soon.